Hi, my name is Charles, and I've been asked to provide a testimony on my experiences of having been positive for COVID. I want to thank first Agus for asking me to do this and giving me this opportunity. And as always, I want to thank JICF for receiving me as a member of their community. So the story starts in end of November, where I was busy with work stuff as usual, but I started feeling uncomfortable at the end of November. It was a weekend that I celebrated both my dad's birthday and my son's birthday, and I had other commitments that weekend. It was quite active as usual for the end of the year for us to be busy at work. That weekend, I started feeling a little bit tired, a little bit feverish. Not so much, but I was just more tired. I didn't think much of it. I just thought I needed rest. On that Monday, my fever got really bad, and it was so bad that I just felt too weak to even attend my Zoom meetings. It was the following day, a staff called in and informed that this is a staff that I had met on the Thursday prior. He was also experiencing fever-like symptoms. He went to get a PCR test and was confirmed COVID positive. That caused some concern, especially when I was meeting with that individual just the Thursday before I started feeling uncomfortable. I went to get my PCR test, and under the advice of my doctor, I followed the procedures, and it turned out I was COVID positive. During that waiting period, I had already isolated myself, and I didn't realize it, but now I think back, food was presented very nicely, but it didn't taste good, and I started complaining. I said, how come this food tastes bad? I thought it was my wife's cooking, because our cook had gone back to her campo. Everyone else was saying, hey, this is really good food. I just said, well, I didn't know what's going on. It looks good. I know I've tasted it before. It tastes good, but I just said to my wife, why doesn't it taste good? I didn't know. I just thought it was her cooking, but it turned out it's COVID symptoms. I went to the hospital to get admitted. I was processed in the emergency room at first. I had to wait. My wife was there to help with the administration process. She asked when would the room be available, and we were told that there were 40 other patients on the waiting list. And I asked, well, what's going to happen if I do not receive a room? They said, well, then I would probably be treated in the emergency room. That was something that I was not prepared for. I didn't know how to react to that. So we just waited. Thanks God, the news came that somehow we were able to get a room. And that room was in the hospital. It was an isolated room. It was 4 rooms together with a shared toilet. But the room that I had did not have a TV, did not have any windows. I didn't think anything of it. I was just very thankful that I had a room. Got admitted. I think the first few days I was okay with coping with it. I didn't have that many symptoms. It was just normal. I just thought I just had a fever. My fever went down. It was under control within I think that 1 or 2 days. I was watching Netflix. I was relaxing. I just thought, hey, this is good. I can be admitted out really quickly. I just treated it like a dengue fever. Then I think it was third day or something, I had coughs and felt a little bit of pain in my chest. The doctor said the reason why I was admitted was because when I took the x-ray, the results came back and they saw some things in my lungs that required observation. And when I started saying that, I started feeling not comfortable when I cough, they said, this is one of the symptoms that they were concerned about, that they wanted to observe. Not long after that, my oxygen level went down below 90, to which I had to be administered with oxygen tubes. It was the first time I had oxygen tubes in my life. I think this is probably the second time I've been admitted to the hospital. The first time was when I came back to Indonesia, and I had dengue fever a few years back. This is the second time after that. So I'm not comfortable with hospitals. It's not a normal experience for me to be there. Adding on to that, my not only the discomfort of being in the hospital itself, but also the discomfort from the coughs, my chest, from having the oxygen tubes. Then it added on to not having TV, not having any windows, just really isolated into a confined room. It took a toll on my mind. It took a toll on my spirit because I was not focused on God. I was focused on the distractions in my life, the discomforts I was experiencing. Somehow I was able to find comfort in listening to songs of worship. I went to Spotify. I got sick of all the pop songs and the modern songs. It was the same thing over and over. I got sick of it, and I turned on the worship songs. It calmed me. It put me in a different state of mind when previously I was starting to feel negative. I was starting to be bitter. People around me that called me, they were starting to feel the same negative energy that I was emitting out. And they started to feel bad, especially my mom. She felt bad that I was suffering. Whereas physically I wasn't suffering that bad, but it was just emotionally how I spoke to her. It hurt her because she experienced me going through something that was discomfort, that was not comfortable, and I expressed it in my tone, in my demeanor. Even though I didn't say anything mean, but it's just the words, it was just, everything was just negative. So the songs really helped calm me down when during the hospital. Miraculously as well, when I asked the doctors how long would I have to be in the hospital, they said it would usually take around 10 days. When I asked my doctor and they did observation, they said I can go out in 7 days, which was a relief, and I was very thankful for that. And even some of the nurses were surprised. They said 7 days, that's really fast. Usually it's 10 days. So that was not expected as well by everyone else. For me, I was very happy, but when I heard everyone saying that 7 days, that's really fast, I started to realize, there's something different. After I left the hospital, I was in a 1 week self-isolation in an apartment waiting for my second PCR test to confirm I was negative. I need to get 2 negative confirmations to make sure I was safe to go back to my family. During that time, I was really appreciative of finally being out of the 4 white-walled room, to have TV, to have fresh air, to be able to see the sun, the rain. At that time it was raining, it was December. I was so appreciative of it. My outlook on life was different. I became really positive because I was just so happy to get out of the hospital, and I was just looking at things and just saying it's so nice to see nature. When I was finally able to go home, I gave all my children a hug, and that was a really, really happy time in my life. I remember just being so appreciative of everything. Everything was positive. There's really nothing that could really bring me down at that point. And that's when I gave, how do I say this? I was so thankful that God blessed me with all the things that I have. Blessed me with my health, blessed me with my recovery, blessed me with my family, with just an abundance of things. As a sinner myself, I know I do not deserve it, but yet I was given this mercy and blessed with all these things by God's grace. Looking back on it right now, it's the impact of God's blessings is truly abundant. There's nothing more that I could say to deserve this. It's just everything was God's intervention, it's God's plans. Today's reading from Kings talks about the perfect timing that God has for us. So I don't want to rush anything. I don't want to plan too much for myself. I just want to trust and believe that God has the best intentions for me in my life. So thank you for this opportunity to share.